somebody gets poked in the eye.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, someone's
Yep.
request or email or whatever.
We'll call the meeting to order. If you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the agenda is in front of us. Any changes or additions?
Just an additional list of bills in front of you.
Bills? Okay. So motion to approve the agenda with those additions, additional bills?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda with the additional bills. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes of past meetings, financial report, summary list of bills. The only one that I scratched my head on a little bit was the one from September 28th. It says we met in the auditorium.
Says what?
The meeting on September 28th says we met in the auditorium.
You don't need to scratch your head, that's just a typo.
Okay. Wasn't sure.
I'm guessing I took it from the special meeting minutes from,
Yeah, not a big deal. Okay, while I'm thinking about it, Jackie, sometime in the next week or two, whatever, could you get us an update to the 5-year plan for Silo Pepple, those types of funds? And it's
Yep.
something I think you keep updated, right?
we're working on it with, I have that updated, I don't have general fund updated, so.
Okay. Just when you get a
Absolutely.
chance.
Absolutely, yep.
Thank you. And I mention that because our save, and it's probably, was our plan, that save has come down a fair amount. We were well over $1 million for quite a while. We knowingly, because we had those funds, we went ahead with some projects.
Right.
But we're getting lower now, so
Mhm.
might be a good time to review that, just to make sure that we're where we expect to be.
Mhm.
That we're, have things covered that we want to have covered in the future. Okay, any others? So motion to approve those 3 items.
So moved, plus the additional list of bills.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion second to approve the minutes of past meetings, financial report, summary list of bills, including the additional ones from this evening. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next on the agenda is recognition. Congratulations to students, staff, and community.
Yeah, first group I'd like to recognize Mrs. Langholt and all the students that participated in the Pops concert a week and a half ago. Over 20 solos and duets, in addition to 3 large group songs. About an hour and 45 minutes worth of music. Very well put together and very proud of our kids. In addition, you can see that on the announcements page, we've got a lot of other activities. So tomorrow night, we've got Beauty and the Beast. So talked to Mrs. Langholt again. We're doing 50% capacity seating, and we added a Sunday matinee to try to make up for that decreased capacity. So there are some tickets still available for tonight's, or Thursday night's production, in addition to Saturday and Sunday. So anybody that wants a ticket, we're asking they call the office. And then we'll kind of announce how many tickets are available by the end of the school day tomorrow that'll be available at the box office. So if people want to try, they can try to come to the box office tomorrow night. But we want to say break a leg to all the kids that are involved with Beauty and the Beast. And then, in addition, congratulate all the different athletic teams on, for the most part, their regular season. The volleyball team's wrapping up tomorrow night, but then postseason and tournament action really gets started next Monday with volleyball. And as you can see, cross country has their qualifying meet next Thursday, and then football team, congratulations to Coach Eben and the CLGLR football team for the district championship last week. getting the win over West Lyon. They have a first-round bye, and they will play the winner of Unity Christian and Sheldon, who play this Friday. And then also break a leg to any of our students auditioning for All-State, whether it's band or vocal music. Those are happening all virtually this year. So we want to recognize all our students and their dedication, not only to their academics, but all those other activities that are kind of coming to a close here in the next couple weeks. Anything else, Mr. Harmon, Mr. Engelmann?
I just want to congratulate the two band directors on their great mass band show they had 2 weeks ago. Even without George, they put it together a real nice show. I heard a lot of compliments from the fans, so that's really good.
And with the reduced numbers that they had because of some quarantines, I believe, as
Yeah.
well as a number of players in
Right.
playing football. So smaller group, but still sounded very good.
It sounded really good.
Okay, any others? We'll move on to communications. I did not see anyone sign up to address the board, so we'll move on to correspondence.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, reports, principals.
Both Steve and I are working on the parent-teacher conferences. There'll be a letter coming out very shortly on how to sign up for that online and providing parents with a few options, whether it's going to be an in-person or potentially a virtual conference. So been working hard on that and coordinating that with the staffs because it's going to be a little bit different than what we're used to traditionally. So be on the lookout, board members as well as parents, for that letter coming out here shortly.
Okay, good. Anything else, Steve or Jason? Okay, Jackie, anything? Board members? Mr. Jordan?
So in the packet, I had enrollment history with, our kind of what we call beds enrollment, students in the building. As you can see, there are 780 students. If we compare it to last year, it's down 7, which is better than what we had maybe anticipated and projected in the spring. I would guess by the time we hit the certified button, we count all of our special ed kids in our ELL waiting, we'll probably be down between 10 to 15 because we did lose some special ed students. And as we know, special ed students might be rated as quote-unquote 2 or 3 students depending upon their needs. So even though we're down 7 physical students in our building, I would guess it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 by the time everything's calculated out with our weightings. Next board meeting, I should have that official number that we can then begin to kind of make some plans when it comes to the budget. So.
Okay.
National Honor Society, again, Mr. Engelmann and I have been kind of meeting on that. Unfortunately, we haven't had a staff member that's going to step forward with National Honor Society, but the two of us are willing to take that on collectively and kind of share that responsibility. So our plans to get the applications out to kids this next week, and then get that back and get the faculty committee together to identify our students for induction. And then, like we've always done, we try to have that induction ceremony before Thanksgiving and before our winter activities really start in full force. So we haven't specifically identified a date yet. We need to look at the calendar and get that on there. But that'll be going to students on Monday. And then one thing Darsha Tangy shared with me, USDA has extended that summer food program from December 31st to the end of the school year. So as you might recall, starting October 1st, all students begin receiving free breakfast and free lunch. That'll be for the entire school year now. So students, if they want an extra milk or they want a second entree or a whole second meal, they'll pay for that out of their account. But that kind of first time through for breakfast and lunch has been extended and been funded through the rest of the school year. So just found out about that yesterday morning.
Okay, anything else?
All I have.
For anyone else for reports? Okay, we'll move on to old business. These policies, we originally did the first reading last month and approved the first reading, as well as the rescinding of those listed. Any other questions on those? If there's none, is there a motion to approve the second reading of those policies and rescinding of the listed policies as well?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion second to approve the second reading of the policies as listed and rescinding those policies listed also. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'm assuming that was aye approved, Scott.
Yes, it was. Sorry, I was a little late.
No, it's probably a delay too. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Consider early graduation requests.
You can see there's 7 seniors that are applying for early graduation this year. We got Dawson, Mackenzie, Austin, Kirsten, Ella, Bradley, and Hannah. I sit down with each of these individuals, as does Mrs. Harmon, and we talk about the things, make sure they have their ducks in a row. As far as credits and all those things we need to check off our list before even considering them, and they do, pending, passing scores this semester, they will all reach or exceed the 48 credits earned for graduation. So this, if approved, they become alumni of Central Lyon. They can no longer participate in activities, but they can attend prom and commencement. So most of them, again, share a little bit about why they are requesting early graduation, and very much what they shared with me is they have other interests right now. They either want to work and make money to go off and do what they want to do, or they want to start a certification plan or a 2-year school right away. So that's their goals.
Okay, any questions on those? Is there a motion to approve those early graduation requests?
So moved.
Second.
The motion second to approve the early graduation requests. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider resolution for extension of Sunset Court tax increment financing.
So I invited Jordan and Micah to join us to answer any questions the board might have, but as the documents in here indicated, the city has requested from the school and the county an extension of 5 years on the original TIF. And it's, again, totaling, the goal is to pay or to fund the infrastructure, $233,000. So Jordan, if you want to explain anything, board members, you got any questions? I know we've got an additional handout here. I don't know if you wanted to walk them through that, or?
State law allows a residential TIF district of 10 years, and that TIF revenue is used to cover the cost of the infrastructure. Subject to concurrence with the affected taxing entities, they allow an additional 5 years. And what you see on this spreadsheet is projected financing using an average increment, an average valuation, average increase in taxable valuation of $181,000. Now that's using an average. That excludes the land, so that's just the increase in the valuation. And using that average increase of $181,000, subtracting out the tax abatement for 5 years for each home, it shows that after 10 years, the total revenue comes up to approximately $167,000. And in order to recover the full $233,000, using these current valuations and tax rates would require another probably 2 years of 3 months. Now, if valuations increase or tax rates increase, that reduces the time needed. If those things go down, that probably would increase the time needed. In most cases, I think valuations have probably increase tax revenue. Tax rates could go either way. So that's what we are requesting this. We may not, it may not be needed, but just in case it will be needed, we are requesting this authorization. If for some reason we reach that 233,000, before that, before 10 years, it automatically stops. We're not, the county is not allowed to send us any more tax tip revenue than the amount of the original investment. Does that make sense to you?
I guess our only question, original question was, you know, we're 3 years into the original 10-year TIF, and maybe the rationale for extending it now instead of maybe in year 8 or 7, once we've kind of had a few years for evaluations to maybe either rise or for the properties to be developed further.
Well, if we, assuming that we're in favor of this, there's no downside to extending it now, because once we reach that maximum, there's no more TIF revenue to be collected. The only reason for not extending it would be if for some reason you had some reservations about it, that gives time to consider it in the future. But this, the reason we're requesting it now is because over time, school boards change, county supervisors change, and eventually the project becomes a distant memory. We think it's cleaner and simpler to get it out of the way early in the process.
Is this something that's been done before, Jordan, and somewhat relatively? Is this something that has been done before in other areas and is somewhat relatively standard that you do? Or
We have not done this before. State law allows 20 years for a commercial TIF. We have a downtown, the downtown area is unlimited. There's no limit on that TIF district, but for residential TIF districts, state law limits it to 10 years, except for this exception of 5 years. So no, we've never done it before.
So help me understand how do the dollars flow? Do the homeowners still pay the taxes and then they go into this fund? Is that how that works?
Yeah, the taxes, the homeowner pays, the tax bill doesn't change at all.
Okay.
There are county levies, city levies, and school levies, but there are certain levies that are exempt from TIF. One would be all the debt service levies for the county, school, and the city. The other would be the property, plant, and equipment for the school district. Those are also exempt from TIF.
Okay.
So those levies come back to the respective entities. In addition to that, the non-incremental, tax on the non-incremental valuation, meaning basically the land, that 100% of that tax bill comes back. But the eligible tax revenues, consisting of anywhere, it could be anywhere from 60 to 75% of the total revenue is considered TIF revenue, and that's allows the city or the county, depending on who has a TIF district, to recover that TIF revenue and apply that toward the investment. Now, this investment does not include the cost of the homes. They recover that cost when they sell the homes, but this is for the cost of the infrastructure. And the purpose of this is to provide incentives for economic development.
Is that cost for the infrastructure for electric, sewer, streets, water? The 233,000, is that directly then fed back to the city and then Rock Rapids Utilities?
None of it was used for electrical. That's handled by directly with the developer. This is primarily for street and storm sewer and sanitary sewer, but not for electrical.
So from a general fund perspective, when we're talking about, you know, approximately every student this year equating to $7,000, you know, this doesn't necessarily increase the taxes for other folks in our school district. You know, that's where the school funding formula, you know, accounts for any of those, you know, increases to the funding for the general fund. This isn't gonna impact our funding
Sure.
for our.
Basically, this is, if I'm understanding correctly, it's tax dollars over and above the existing tax base because of new development that you wouldn't receive if this new development hadn't occurred or weren't occurring, you wouldn't be getting that additional tax revenue anyway.
That is correct.
So, okay. So this $233,000 essentially goes back to the city because that's the cost that the city put into the infrastructure? Is that what you're saying?
What the developer put into the infrastructure, and the city doesn't keep any of it, we just reimburse it directly to the developer. Which
Okay.
in this case happens to be a development corporation.
Um,
Mike, I was here representing that.
Okay, okay.
I shouldn't say that they don't keep any of it. If you look on the second column from the far right, LMI 33.84%. That, for residential TIF districts, the city is required to set aside a certain percentage for low and moderate income. And that percentage is based on whatever the percentage of LMI population is in Lyon County. So the city is required to set that aside and use it for low and moderate income housing projects. Presently, mostly what we've been using that for is affordable housing grants. We have provided municipal housing for a remodeling project a few years ago. If a developer came in with a low income housing project, we would be able to apply for that as well. So the city does retain that, but it can only be used for low and moderate income housing.
So you said earlier that the development corporation actually developed this
Yes.
as opposed to a private entity, a private contractor, for example.
Mhm.
Hypothetical question, would we still do this same thing if a private contractor were doing this, or have we done that in the past? Against someone else?
We have done that in the past.
Okay,
The most recent one before this was, there's two recent projects. South Ridge Edition, the city was a developer on that, so we put in the cost of the, there are two developers, two South Ridge projects. One was, what was the name from?
Trent Bruce. Trent Bruce.
Trent Bruce, yeah. Trent Bruce was the first developer, and so he did receive TIP, and then the city put in the second amount of infrastructure. The first time we ever did this was about in 2004, when Greg Coffey's developed Cedar Lane, that area down there. That was a residential TIP. So all the TIP like that again.
okay, any other questions or comments for Jordan?
So in theory, maybe the units are selling a little slower than expected. Otherwise, really, there's more tips that go on that the school board doesn't see because the city has that statutory 10-year authority, right? Is that fair?
Understand the question?
Because I mean, we don't, as a school board, we don't vote on every tip that the city puts in place. But if it goes beyond 10 years, like you're here for tonight, then we have to act.
No, actually, every time we adopt a TIP district, we send out proposals, we send a copy of the notice, a copy of the urban renewal plan, a copy of all of the development plans to the city, to the school district, and to the county. We invite them to a consultation meeting. Most recently, I think, we had one last year, and
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. George showed up for that one. Typically, they're not very well represented, but we do notify both the school board and the county.
Sure, but the school board doesn't have to take action.
You don't have to take action. You have an opportunity to comment on it.
Give
Only
our
reason
comment
you're doing it
input.
right now is because of the extension.
5 years.
Right.
Yep.
County took action yesterday as the other public entity that's needed for approval.
Okay, other questions, comments, concerns? Is there a motion to approve the, essentially, I suppose do we have to introduce it as a resolution, Jackie?
Yep.
Okay, would someone care to introduce the resolution to extend the Sunset Court tax increment financing?
I will do so.
Second?
We have a motion to introduce the resolution for the extended TIF and a second in the roll call vote. Jackie?
Jans?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Coop?
Aye.
Postma?
Aye.
Motion carried, resolution is passed. Okay, thank you,
guys.
Jordan and Micah.
Thank you for your support.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Okay, consider softball batting cage quote for $11,385.
So, next phase of kind of the softball project. This is the hardware and the net itself for a softball field. It's a dual batting cage system. If we're able, like it says in my memo there, to, if the board approves, the hope would be to try to get this infrastructure installed yet this fall, so that all we'd have to do in the spring is hang the nets, so.
Okay, any questions on that? Is there a motion to approve that quote? Softball cage?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second to approve the quote in our packet for the softball batting cage. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consider maximum modified allowable growth, et cetera.
So last month, we approved an application, or the application for a different amount, and then the state came in and said, oh, our application wasn't working properly, so your funding changes, so please reapprove. So the updated amount is $56,137.27. It's basically the overspend for educating limited English proficient students. So we get allowable growth back for that.
And spending authority.
Correct.
Correct, no cash, spending authority only. We do levy it in cash as our choice as a board. That's kind of part of our formula for
Sure.
determining our cash, but yes.
Okay, questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second to approve the modified allowable growth application for LEP. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is, consider Title I-A, basic allocations at the one, Rick, in the amount of.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do F, G, and H together, as I have it
We
on
could, yeah.
the recommendation, just so you guys are aware, Title I, almost $90,000 for literacy salaries, so we've got 3 full-time title teachers, and so that $90,000 won't cover the entire costs of all 3 of those salaries, but a portion. Title II, A is for class size reduction. Similarly, $19,000 doesn't cover the cost of a full teacher, but it helps defray some salaries. And then Title IV-A, this year we're piloting science curriculum, hoping to bring you a recommendation in the spring for a purchase of K-8 science curriculum. So $12,399 would be used for any of the materials associated with the pilot, and then any remaining would be applied towards the purchase of new science curriculum.
So help me understand, are these just purely allocation requests, recommendations, or is this, I did like modified allowable growth, or what is this?
This is federal,
Federal allocations that we have to spend and request reimbursement for.
so those are the, how we're intending to use those dollars.
Cash reimbursement only.
Okay, other questions? Is there a motion to approve those three title allocation funding recommendations?
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion second to approve the three title allocation recommendations. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel, we'll take these all together, I think, A through G.
Yep, so all the mentors, that's my fault for not getting those approved way back in August, when we approved our teacher leader positions. But these, 6 teachers have been working with new staff since the beginning of the school year, whether they're first-year teachers or second-year teachers, or just new teachers to our district. So listed there, and then Mrs. Langholt for individual speech, which will start after the first of the year.
Okay, questions or comments on those? Is there a motion to approve those hirings as listed?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second to approve those hirings as listed. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Announcements, dates to remember, a number of items there, many of which Mr. Jorth and others have covered previously. Next regular board meeting is
The 9th is the second Monday. So anybody has any conflicts?
There is girls' basketball practice, 7th and 8th grade boys' basketball games, school board meeting, and a 7:30 PM high school marching band concert.
I didn't know that.
According to the school calendar.
Is that high school only, Jackie?
High school marching band only is what this says.
I think it is just high school.
It is.
Okay, does anyone want to be done early for that?
I don't have, it shouldn't affect Joel either, so I don't know, Scott?
No, doesn't affect me.
Okay, we can leave it at 7 as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion second to adjourn, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Before I get billed out.
You.
Can I have you be board secretary so that I can?
Yep.
So that I can be the notary? So you'll have to sign.
Is that-
You and Dave will sign here, and here, and then I'll be the notary. There's multiple ones in every county and city, which obviously.
You want me to put a number on the resolution?
I don't know. It's not ours to determine, I wouldn't think, so we put as
Yeah, they do.
Resolution.
10, 14, 20 is kind of what I always do.
So that first, that thing was- I would do that. I'll do that. Well, actually, we're going back to this. Perfect.
Did you two see when they have our game scheduled?
Yeah, that's what we were just saying.
Noon on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah, that's what Keela showed me.
Okay.
Well, then it just came out, because it wasn't out when I looked on today's third,
That's why
Wednesday.
I didn't get
Monday.
time. When they had their game the other day, I just called Rochelle to say that son wanted to make the lead because he plays JV also.
Right.
And she's,
So you can go into the game, and I'm like, I don't know, so now I remember. Oh,
I've gone to my
your
junk mail, like it just,
That's just part of my notary.
sometimes the new stuff just gets simpler, so.
Yeah, so there's practice tomorrow night.
That's
Both of
the-
them, perfect.
That's the
Yep.
Yeah,
calendar.
Kayla went to the website, it says we play West Central.
I'll just email that to.
Send that out one.
Maybe it's not accurate.
It probably
It
is.
probably is.
Oh, you already did that one?
I didn't know how they would, because it's all different. Normally they just roll
I
through.
started looking at it, like, I'm the only
And since
notary.
we
in
started a
Dublin,
little
so,
later
yeah.
than we did last
Be
year,
great.
Right.
yeah. And she thought maybe they would try to have it Friday too.
Well, that, Friday night game or?
Friday night, like Friday practice.
Oh, that'd be okay.
Yeah, so this week would be nice. Yeah. Saturday evening.
Guess we'll see.
Okay. See you guys.
Yep.
Why it's always the last seat taken.
What do you with there, like?
Did you text it?
Just beat you to it.